to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about 80s games from Arcade1up. If you're here in the chat, please do not hesitate to chat and let me know how the audio sounds. I'm using custom software right now, so although this may look like Restream for those that are content creators and are familiar with different services that allow you to stream, this may look like Restream, but it's purely OBS and a custom software that I wrote. I just made it look very familiar, but say hi in the chat. Let me know if the audio sounds good. Let me know if the video sounds good. Stupid Fat Hobbit, he's saying 80s cabs would sell like hotcakes to the community. Unfortunately, retailers aren't IHOP. So with popular 80s titles are out. Nintendo is untouchable. Retailers aren't risking to sell what's left. All right, thanks, Jason, for the audio is good. Yeah, I want to talk about this 80s title. You know, we've been talking about on this channel for the last couple weeks about leaks. And so we know the new cabinets that are coming out from Arcade1up, there's been several leaks, some of those controlled, some of them accidents. So like Time Crisis, that being out there, I think that was a controlled leak. They wanted to put that out there. The community gave their feedback that the quality, this Deluxe Time Crisis cabinet looks like a McDonald's like Happy Meal, and maybe you could figure out a way to make that look better. And there was leaks last year that Time Crisis would have came out by now. It hasn't, so it looks like they've pushed that one off. The next one is Fast and the Furious, basically our answer to Cruisin'. Some have said that the Fast and the Furious is even better title than Cruisin'. I think that's debatable, but that's something that's still in that 90s era, right? Like, that's not 80s. And a lot of these newer titles are post-90s, right? It's like either in the high 90s or early 2000s when it comes to quality. I'm sorry, when it released. And, well, quality is kind of what was in my head because, you know, the quality of the graphics continued to get higher. I noticed this comment. I thought it was pretty good. He said, would be interesting to see a demographic breakdown of who buys these machines. I would bet kids from the 1980s buy the most. So why not give us what we want? It's an interesting comment because here's the thing. This is what I have to say about it. At least the statistics on my YouTube channel, the demographic of the people that watch this podcast is typically people that are around my same age or so. So I was born in 1981, and it's about give or take 5 years or so on that demographic. And so I think I don't know exactly if Arcade1up is in that same group or so. You know, like they're targeting that market, or I don't really know if the real home arcade market is that range. You know, just as a content creator, the demographics could be different. Although my content is primarily home arcade, it leads me to think that, that's very possible. So, yeah, with all of the leaks that came out and they're kind of like 90s games mostly, we're not seeing anything in the 80s. But do you remember that's what David McIntosh said on a recent video on that, what is that? I can't remember. Okay, let me see if I can get this straight. So there's that 1UP show, and that's the show that they release the big titles, okay? So that's a couple times a year they'll do that show. Like that was kind of like the Blitz, Star Wars re-release, things like that. And then now there's that update show? No, it's the 1Update. 1Update. That show is like FAQ, frequently asked questions, all of that stuff. And that's hosted by Travis MCP. So that show, David McIntosh was on it last time, and the question was asked, will we get any 80s titles this year? And he said yes, but I don't know what they are. Like, does anyone in the chat know what those 80s titles are? Has there been any leaks? Has there been any information, any teasing that will actually say what they are? Now, yeah, Matt Esther Gaiman says it's Pac-Man, right? It's Pac-Man. I think that's very possible that it's Pac-Man. And I wanted to talk about that because, what if it's basically they're cheating? That's not what we mean. That's not the question we asked, or that's not what we wanted Travis to ask. Is it possible that the only title that's coming out this year that's 80s is basically a re-release, right? It's a variant of Pac-Man or Galaga. Maybe they'll finally give us a definitive Galaga cabinet that has all 4 of those Galaga games in it. It seems like they've only given that love to like countercades. So Galaga 88 and Galaxian, and I'm missing one, right? So you got Galaxian, Galaga 88, and then Plus. So we haven't seen all 4 of those. So if they all of a sudden do that, is that what he meant by new? Is that what he meant by new? I hope not, because that's cheating. That's not what we said, right? Or that's not what we mean. We're talking about a title they've never released before that's from the 80s. And the question that I ask is, could that save Arcade1up? Now, of course, that's kind of a clickbaity title. That's what I do, but it's intriguing. It's a question to draw people in, to make them think, like, is that what Arcade1up needs to do to save themselves? Well, save themselves from what? Well, clearly they're in a declining business. And I'm not trying to be negative. It just, they hit their peak, I'm sure, a couple years ago with the amount of cabs they sold. Remember, they got to like 3 million. They're like, boom, 1 million cabs sold, 2 million cabs sold, 3 million cabs sold. And they haven't really announced 4 million yet. Are they at 4 million yet? But we're like 5 years in, and it seems like it got really hot, and then maybe it's a plateau. And I love this community. I really enjoy the fans that come. We talk about games. But I like home arcade. I like full-size arcades, pinballs, all of that. Do I want to see Arcade1up die? No. I know that it's possible that Arcade1up won't survive forever. That's possible. I mean, that's possible of any startup, any newer company, even if they do well. I worked for a startup that we did pretty well. We had some money coming in, but eventually there was some struggle, and we ended up selling. And that product was trying to become a different product after it was sold. And I don't think it really worked out. I think bits and pieces of that technology are now used across the industry, but what we were trying to do isn't really there anymore. It doesn't really exist. So it's possible that Arcade1up will eventually not survive. That's not what I want. What I want to see them do is come out with those holy grail cabinet titles that we all want. And hopefully that helps them survive. But if not, then just give us those things before you go. I mean, if you only got a couple more years for this fad or whatever it is, I know, I'm not trying to be mean, but there's a ton of people in this community that have reached their peak of cabs that they could own. But maybe they got some duplicates, and if they came out with some of these 80s titles, they're like, I want that one, I want that one. So let's break it down and talk about those different things. Let's see. Stupid Fat Habit says, Are we sure when they confirmed 80s games that are still to come, they meant, I think it means meant, maybe? They meant arcade games and not 80s board games from the Infinity Table? Wouldn't put it past them to try and revive that lost cause. Oh, man, Stupid Fat Hobbit. You're getting me angry. If that's what they meant. If Arcade1up includes Wi-Fi on all cabs, they are future-proofing for a new online business model that could roll out with their physical sales slow down. That is 100% fact. And this was something that years ago John did say on one of the streams. I know I was on a stream with John, and I asked him, like, what is the purpose of the SD card, the Wi-Fi slot? Is it just for updates? And there was a thing. It's in the future, there's a possibility that the number of cabs that they can sell per year will diminish. They're hedging those bets. Like if basically they understand market saturation, they could hit that peak where it's like the type of people that want to buy Arcade1ups have already filled their basement or their game room with tons of cabs, and they can't really sell anymore. And if that happens, they can pivot and then turn into all those machines are platforms now for them to sell some games, kind of like the iArcade model. But the difference is if they pivoted to that iArcade model, they potentially would have millions of cabinets in the wild versus I think tens of thousands is what we've heard from the iArcade group saying they probably have 10 or 20,000 machines. Arcade1up will probably sell 10 or 20,000 Pac-Mans this year with Wi-Fi. And so those machines are upgradable. Even if you only get like a small percentage to buy those games with that platform, that scale, that could be a business model like you're implying there. Let's see. So let's go through some of the list of games that I think it's possible that Arcade1up could come out with. Or let's just discuss it. Those in the chat, let me know your thoughts on some of these titles. What would you want for them to come out with? So here was my thought. Let me see. I'm gonna have to take the chat off, guys. Sorry. Let's hide that chat. All right. So I asked ChatGPT. I said, list the top 10 arcade games from the 1980s. It looks like that got chopped off. I'm sorry about that. There you go. Here's the preview of my slides. So anyway, I guess the top part's chopped off. Sorry. Okay, so you got Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, Galaga, Frogger, Defender, Ms. Pac-Man, Tempest, Dig Dug, and Robotron. I was actually surprised that Robotron was listed in a chat GPT. You guys got some good titles here. 19K Fox talking about Road Blasters. Road Blasters would be great. You got the Star Wars yoke, small modification, and you're up and running there. Atari, they can get that. AI is not evil. AI is your friend. And ChatGPT 4 just came out, and it actually is artificial intelligence. They're asking it questions. Have you heard about the white paper that came out? They're asking it questions that the database doesn't have answers to, but it can conclude the answers. But AI has its limits. Do you know AI doesn't know, like when it wrote out this Pac-Man, it didn't know it was going to say Robotron at the very end. It's like it doesn't have a memory. Imagine like 50 First Dates. It's like, but at the end of the sentence, you don't even remember what's at the beginning of the sentence. And one of the next levels of ChatGPT is, do they give it that recursive memory where as it's saying this sentence, it actually does remember the sentence? That's crazy. Okay, anyway, Robotron was listed. I just went on a little ChatGPT. Here we go. Paul, also in the industry, is like, let's talk about ChatGPT. We're doomed. I just was using this as a mechanism for conversation. It was really easy to ask it, give me your thoughts on the last 10. And it's pretty accurate, right? Like, this is a pretty good list. Okay, so let's go through that list, right? But here's the thing. If you look at it, Robotron, that's cool. That's cool that Robotron was included in there. I checkmarked some things in here that they've already done. Obviously, they haven't done Donkey Kong. But these are the list of titles that if they were to... Yeah, admit it, use ChatGPT. I didn't use it to write the script, no. But that is very funny. That's funny. These are I checkmarked the ones that they've already released, but I highlighted the ones that I hope they re-release again. And I don't want, if they come out with another Galaga, I will be upset if that's the 80s title that they're redoing. Like, I hope they come out with a Robotron. That's a good one. But Dig Dug, I don't think we got justice on Dig Dug. I'm hoping they didn't make as many, and the ones that are out there are going to be sold out soon. And then they can do Dig Dug again. Like, for example, could we get Dig Dug exactly? Could we get Dig Dug in a Deluxe? Could we get Tempest in a Deluxe? Could we get a definitive Defender? Basically, take the same exact games list that's on the Partycade, right? The Defender Partycade. Put those 10 games on a Deluxe version of Defender, but with a Deluxe control panel. I don't think I didn't highlight Frogger. Like, okay, you've done Frogger. That's fine. You've done Space Invaders, that's fine. You've done Pac-Man, that's fine. You've done Ms. Pac-Man, you've even got a deluxe on the class of 1901, that's fine. You're probably never going to do Donkey Kong. But hey, would anyone be upset? Yeah, exactly. Jason's got it. A Tempest Deluxe XL. Would anyone be upset with a Tempest Deluxe XL? And one of the reasons why that would be great is the Tempest full-size arcade machine is stupid expensive. Dig Dug, it's not super expensive, but Tempest is. Like a Tempest Deluxe or a Tempest XL would be a great value. And that's exactly where I'm at with Arcade1up in this next period of time, the next year or so. I just learned recently that I'm able to get easily, I bought a new dolly, and I can easily transport arcades into my basement now. No stairs, just go around. And so I'm really looking through it going, okay, there's an auction next week, which I'll be covering on the channel. And they got some good titles in there. They got some good machines. And I've been thinking, okay, some of those, and I got some machines I'm ready to sell. So I got about four full-size arcade cabinets and also some Arcade1ups that I'm willing to trade and sell in my local area. You know, try out some different cabs. And some of them I might put like a Mister in there, you know, like get some multi-cade arcades. I thought about Street Fighter, but then throw the Mister in it, and it could be pretty high quality. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. But here's the point, coming back to the topic of home arcade or Arcade1up in specifically. The titles from the 80s that I would really love Arcade1up to come out with are the ones that would give us the highest value in home arcade, where the arcade counterpart on the secondary market available regionally across the US are stupid expensive. That's where you would get this huge value. It would actually compete like a Tempest XL. Now, Arcade John says Tempest XL has a vertical monitor. That would make the game screen larger than the first Arcade1up Tempest and add value. So, I mean, that's a very good point. Could they take just the vertical games that are from Atari in that era, do it in an XL? We'd get a 19-inch and it's vertical. Huge value. Now, although, you know, I think, is Tempest a 19-inch or is Tempest a 25-inch? I'm not sure. I think it's a bigger one. I don't think it's 19-inch, right? Like some of the Williams machines are like 19-inch, but yeah, I think Tempest is like a larger screen. But the point is if you go vertical with an XL, there you go. For those, that would be huge value. And then the XL would be a very large machine. It takes up a little bit more space on width, but it's the amount of few inches on that XL is what a lot of people wish. Think about it. Not everyone. There are many people complaining. There's many people complaining about the new Deluxe, and they say it looks skinny. And so here's the thing. It does. It's weird that it looks skinny. The new Deluxe cabinet, it's weird that it's skinny because it's basically, have you guys seen pictures of the Arcade1up Deluxe cabinet like in front of a standard Arcade1up? The riser at the bottom of the 3/4 scale cabinet comes out because it's got a riser. But then the Deluxe doesn't have that shoe, if you will. So the Deluxe is skinny because it's like barefoot. Do you understand the analogy? It's like the bottom of the riser has that little bit of extra space, and it like creates this illusion that the Deluxe is super skinny. It is technically skinnier, but it's not super skinny. None of that exists with the XL. With the XL, everything is slightly wider. But I don't think it's really going to take... It's not like 50% wider. The XL is not 50% wider. Does that make sense? It's just a few inches wider. And so when you add that up together, I think the XL, if you get it at a good price and a good title, it could definitely add a ton of value. Before we go into the next slide, let me switch things up here and let's bring in the chat a little bit more. Ooh, sorry, I erased it for a second. Let me know what you guys think about this list. We'll go on to the next slide in just a second, but we got Robotron. You know, that would obviously be a really, really good one. Let's see. Jason is saying, oh, wait. I want to show this. There it is. My Golden Tee feels like a real arcade. It's kind of funny because I was saying yesterday, so I got this new dolly, and I mainly got this new dolly so I could get the pinball machines down in my basement. So I was able to get Jurassic Park and Godzilla down in my basement all by myself, no one else's help at all, just with this $150 dolly. It's pretty sweet. It only took a few minutes to get around in the backyard. And if you've been following the podcast for a while, you know that that's been a struggle for me, is trying to get things in my basement. I've been very stressed out about it over the time, but I was able to get past that. So I got a multi-Williams down into my basement now because I was like, I'll just use the new dolly, right? So I get the new dolly, and sure enough, like 5 minutes later, like it's down in my basement. I was like, wow. Just being able to lean that arcade back on this dolly that has 4 wheels on it, so it has this angle, it can stand by itself. Then I'm just pushing the machine right over my grass to the backside of my house. And so I have it right here. You can't see it. I don't have a camera that's focused on it. But it feels like my Golden Tee XL. Like, it's a little deeper, but it's kind of the Golden Tee XL. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so when I was preparing for this, I actually have a picture. I was seeing how quickly I could pull up this picture so I could kind of show you guys what I was talking about. I wasn't really prepared to do this, but yeah, it looks like I have it. How do I go full screen? Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, and this really got me thinking. Let's see right here. Let me turn off the chat here. So this is the Williams machine that I have that's been in my garage for a while during the winter, and now I'm like, okay, it warmed up enough. I'm ready to get down there. And the dolly is super awesome. It wasn't that expensive, and with this, I could move it around easily, no problem. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, how much value this thing is worth and how much I could sell it for. And if Arcade1up came out with an XL version that had exactly the same games on it, but it also had Sinistar. This does not have Sinistar on it. And so this is where they could add a ton of value for me, where it's like, I might sell this, get $2,000 for it maybe, and spend $800 on an XL. Basically the same games are on it, but there is no option out there that I know of, let me know in the chat if you know, to play Sinistar on a horizontal monitor. And so I have another Williams machine that I got for $200, and I've been thinking about converting it into a Sinistar. And Sinistar, the thing with Sinistar is, like, I have everything I need to be able to have a J-Rock. I have a crappy machine, a crappy arcade that costs $200, and then it'd probably cost me like $400 for the artwork. I could rotate the monitor, and the J-Rock cost me $250, which has Sinistar on it, but it would only be one game, and then have to do all the work. So I'd be in a lot of money, but that value of the Sinistar would be pretty high, so that's pretty cool. Or Arcade1up just could come out with an XL that has Sinistar on it, maybe even horizontal. I'd be fine with that. But it has all those other games on it. And then they've already proven they could do a 49-way joystick with the Blitz, and that 49-way joystick on a Williams cabinet would be pretty sweet. And so I'm sitting here going like, well, which one's the better choice? And I'm not 100% sold that a full-size arcade is the end result, is the definitive way to play these games. Yeah, so Goofyfoot, I have this is a multi-Williams board, but I also have a J-Rock. And the J-Rock is like it has Sinistar on it, but you have to flip the screen vertical. And if you do that, then the other games that are horizontal can't be played. Again, I'm consider doing that on one of the machines that I have, but it still doesn't take away the fact that it's possible that, Arcade1up could offer a solution that's less expensive for the masses, and even I would purchase that one and then sell the full-size arcades that I have and opt for the Arcade1up XL version, because their UI is clean. I could be able to play the Sinistar on a horizontal screen, but also play those other games. I don't know if they could come up with a way where you could play the Sinistar, but then also like, is that right? The 412-1 JAMA has Sinistar. I'll take a look at that. Does it play well? I heard the J-Rock plays really well. Anyway, so let's move on with the, where is it? There it is, with the slideshow. Let's go in here. I'll look into that. Thanks. I want to check out that quality there. So then we got Robotron, right? So if Arcade1up came out with Robotron, of course, this is, Michael B. Those in the chat that know Michael B., this is like his holy grail. And I hope that Arcade1up could come out with a Robotron. I think this could potentially be like another version of the Williams. Like, would Arcade1up re-release the same Partycade games as a Defender? Maybe. But maybe they wouldn't, and maybe they would want to go with, we want a new title. It's a new 80s title. Is that the 80s title that they're is that the 80s title that David McIntosh was mentioning? Is it Robotron? I don't know. So, I mean, if you take a look at the catalog that Arcade1up offers, it's either going to be like an Atari or a Williams, maybe a Namco, maybe a Konami, but which one is more likely? In the past, I mean, if it's Namco, it's totally Pac-Man, Galaga type of thing, right? They haven't done a lot of, have they done a lot of 80s Konami? I think that's like Frogger and Time Pilot. They did that one. See, James is saying we need a Konami Legacy. Is that where they come out with a Konami Legacy? I don't know what it is. I'm really excited to find out. Stupid Fat Hobbit says, wonder if they'll do a Robotron Smash TV split like the class of 1981. I don't think that ever existed legit, right? That's not a canon cab to my knowledge, but that would be pretty cool. I mean, Arcade1up, maybe that's how they would do it. But with that I think you're talking about like they did that, right? They did that with Asteroid Centipede, where one side of the artwork was Asteroid and one side of the artwork was Centipede, right? Could they just do, yeah, like a class in 80? That's pretty smart, actually. I hadn't thought about that. Like, anytime I've ever heard a discussion about Robotron Smash TV, it's always been it's a Smash TV cabinet that just also has Robotron. But I haven't heard of the thought of, well, what if you just put Robotron on the left and Smash TV on the right? Huh. That's interesting. It's a really cool idea, man. I really like that. Like, I bet there's a title out there that that would work. Craig with a great list here. We got a great list of arcades here. Juno First is a lot of fun, and Gyrus is a lot of fun. I think those two those are on my list, definitely, for sure. Like, could we get I don't know what the Juno First cabinet looks like. I know the game from the 16-1. It's pretty fun, just kind of the way the game operates. Gyrus, I see at the arcade. Like, there's one locally here at Grimes, Iowa, that they have a Gyrus. I love the way it looks. I've seen it at auctions a few times. I've bid on one, but I've never bought one. Like, I've been tempted because the Gyrus just looks so cool. It's a fun game, and the machine looks really cool. Anyway, Food Fight. There we go. Robotron or Smashatron. Robo Trash TV or Smashatron. So Ralphie, he wants to see more Laserdiscs. So I think that's the upside. What we did see the year prior, right, is like your Tron, your Dragon's Lair. Those, I think those are really great titles. Will we see those re-released? That's another thought. Like, for those of us that missed out or didn't end up buying some of those titles, would we want to get a deluxe version of Tron? Would we want to get a deluxe version, of those titles? Centipede Tempest Cab. There you go, because both vertical. That's interesting. Let's go on to the next slide here. Then we got, I was wondering with ChatGPT, I was like, what about Qbert? There's a ton of people in the home arcade space that really want this cab. Is it a top 10? Is it a AAA game? Come on, Qbert. And ChatGPT says Qbert is definitely a classic arcade from the 1980s, but whether or not it's considered a top 10 game is subjective and depends on who you ask. Dang, ChatGPT is good. And this is 3. I'm not even playing with version 4. While it was popular and successful in its time, it may not be as well known or iconic as some other games on the list. That being said, Qbert was certainly an influential game that helped popularize the isometric perspective in video games. Its colorful graphics, catchy music, and simple yet addictive gameplay made it a hit in the 80s and home consoles of the era. Yeah, ChatGPT is opinionated. In terms of whether it's AAA game, the term typically refers to high-budget, highly polished games that are marketed as major releases. Wow, ChatGPT knows this, right? Let's see. It may not have the same level of marketing or resources that some other games of its time have. Wow. So I took a screenshot of this, but I didn't read it in detail. I just saw, oh, it's an interesting question. Let me put it in the slide. Can we get the top 10 worst arcades? Okay, after we go through this chat, we'll try a top worst and see what it comes up with. So Qbert, right? So here's the cool thing about Qbert. We haven't ChatGPT cuts deep. They say they're not supposed to cause controversy, but this is like a controversial topic. Thanks a lot, ChatGPT. With Qbert, though, this is interesting because if we do get a Qbert now, assuming they haven't been working on it, would it be a deluxe Qbert? That's interesting. And then the only thing I've heard from other content creators, other chats, when we talk about Qbert, there's been kind of like it could have a couple games, right? I think Qbert Cubes is the other one that could work. Some people have said that. Not too familiar with that game, but I've heard that. And the joystick is unique, right? But I think some people have said like you could just rotate it, rotate the angle, and you're basically got that joystick. Arcade1up has a variety of joysticks technology that they could leverage. So I think that's there. I was just realizing looking at this screen, Qbert does have more of that, slant to it. So could they match the slant on a Qbert? And could they take the knocker that's from their pinball machines and put it inside Qbert? And that would be that authentic edge. Arcade1up could be like, this is the first cabinet that includes a knocker. Just like Arcade John is saying, needs a physical knocker, but they can use the solenoid that's inside that pinball. Hopefully it wouldn't cost them much, and they'd only need one. And I don't know, maybe it could be installed behind the coin door or something like that. Or maybe they're just like, you have to screw it in, or maybe it's installed on the floor, at the bottom of the machine. So that, I don't know. Yeah, they put it at the bottom and it makes the knock sound when you die. That'd be pretty cool. What do you guys think? So, I mean, is Qbert gonna be the one on the list? I mean, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet that this is the 80s title. We know they can't. No way they can make that cab. I have the real one, and I doubt they will do that. It's only a 4-game cab. I don't know, man. They've done T2, and that only had 1 game. Just to be fair, I had to do Pitbull in my best Pitbull voice, by the way. He's got that. I don't know if I can do his, like... He's like... If you guys hasn't seen his content, this is basically Pitbull. Just imagine I have a lot of muscles for a second. And then, we know they can't do that. LOL. No way they can make that cab. I have the real one, and I doubt they will only... I doubt they'll do it, because it's only a 4-game cab. I can't do the look, but he always ends with this look. JJ says, I said it before, Qbert would be ideal for countercade. There you go. Because they could just do Qbert and Qbert Cubes with a 45-degree joystick, which may not be as popular enough for a full-size cab. I tried, Pitbull. No, it's a good point, JJ. Very good point. Yeah. Countercade. I mean, I was thinking about it when I was looking at it. Let's see. Let me pull up the chat here for a little bit. Chat away, guys. Papa Brad makes a good point. What about the partycade? Like, why don't we do that in a partycade? Let me pull that up, because I was looking. If you do a search, oh yeah, I can show those pictures. Those are good. Can tell that story in a little bit. Yeah, let me pull up a. When I was doing research on it, I think it was basically when I was making the thumbnail for this video. I was trying to find some artwork, so I put in Arcade Qbert, and there was a picture that came up that was arcade related. And I remember this, but I was like, oh, it's kind of fun topic while we're on it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, wait, no, I wasn't searching for Qbert. I was searching, yeah, so my thumbnail, it originally had Scott Baccarat from Arcade1up on it. And I showed my thumbnail to another content creator. I was like, oh, there's my thumbnail. I'm going for like this Back to the Future thing. And it showed, Arcade1up disappearing. And so it wasn't me in the picture. It was Scott Baccarat in the center. And the other creator was like, you should take Scott out and put you in there. And I was like, okay, I guess it's my show. I guess I should be on the thumbnail. I guess that kind of makes sense. But when I was looking for a good picture of Scott, I did a search for Scott Baccarat. And let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? Let me share my screen here. And let's see if I could. I'll have to take the chat off for a second. All right, let me hide the chat. So there's Scott at CES, and I was kind of going through. So here's a picture. Here's a picture with Glenn, which is funny and sad at the same time. When I was making the thumb, I did use this picture, but there was another one in here. Where's it at? My point was, if I'm not going to be able to find it, then I don't think I can find it. I'll just have to describe it. Anyway, it was Scott, and there was a Qbert countercade behind him. Do you guys remember that? It was like their first year that they were kind of going to maybe E3 or some toy convention back in 2018. And they actually did have a Qbert. So they were planning at it on one point, and then they just stopped, right? Like, they didn't come out with it. Let's see if I can find it. I'm sure there's some people that haven't seen that picture, so if I could find it, that'd be really cool. I don't know. I'll find it. I'll tweet it or something. Follow me at Console Kits. Yeah, I'll try to make a fun tweet like, see, they did it. They had plans of doing it. Whatever happened to it, Why didn't they continue on it? Yeah, man, I don't recall any Qbert prototypes, but we'll look for that photo online. Yeah, it's there. It was before Pac-Man was ever announced, so He's playing Street Fighter. Scott Backrat is playing Street Fighter. Now I really want to find it. Let me search real quick. Let me give it another 30 seconds or so, see if I can find it. Come on, where's it at? Scott Qbert. Maybe if I actually just search for Qbert. No. I can't find it, guys. It's like it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I might have to give up on it. Wait. All right, I'll just share what I'm seeing so far, so there's not just silence or anything like that. So here's what we're talking about. So you search for Arcade1up Qbert. You're gonna see P-Dubs covered it. I think this is P-Dubs' video. Free him a while back about the petition for Qbert. We got that information. Remember this creator? He's talking about Qbert. It's Brickrod. Is a good little picture of Qbert with Todd Tuckey. And what else? Oh, this is a video of me saying, new fans demand. And this was kind of last year in July. I was talking about 80s cabs. Back then, we demand the 80s games. They haven't come through. Oh, I'm about to get to it. Memory is coming back now. I think it's right around the corner. Nope. I give up. I can't find it. Anyway. C Marvel agrees. He goes, I know what you're talking about. Go find Arcade1up's first videos. Scott at CES playing his cabs. Video of Qbert pops up. There you go. It's CES. Maybe like 2018, 2019. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. I don't want to continue. We'll talk about it another time. Okay, so let's go here now. Next one's up. What about Narc? So Narc is technically an 80s game, and this is something that Arcade1up could do. It has that unique design. Maybe they wouldn't because of violence, but I think some of these 80s games, it's not like Walmart is going to sell this cabinet anyway. It seems like what Walmart is interested in. Oh, is it E3? Now I'm going to talk while I look. Okay, let's see how well I can multitask. So I can't. Narc is a game that I think that would be a fun one for a set of people. And I just typed in Narc, and it's not what I'm looking for. Qbert CES. What is it, like 2019 maybe? So if Arcade1up came out with Narc, I think that would make a lot of people happy that are into those 80s titles. And the retailers are probably not going to pick up that cabinet, but I think a lot of these titles that we're talking about, these aren't titles that I think Best Buy or Walmart are going to pick up anyway. These are going to be titles that we're going to want Arcade1up to back themselves, to be able to purchase and resell. You know, that 3,000 number. Oh, you tweeted me. Thank you so much, C Marvel. That's so much better. Let me just log into Twitter, and that makes it so much easier, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, let me pull that up. Thank you, C Marvel. Here it is. For those right there in the back. See that, JJ? Check it out. It does exist. They do exist. Yeah, so this is Scott back before he learned how to be handsome. He learned how to slick his hair back and everything and be a big top CEO. And back in those days, he was like, check out me playing Street Fighter. Totally getting demolished right here. Check it out. Hasn't even made any damage. And he's first player. Like, he comes in and just, Brock is just like tearing him apart. You got that final fight. Again, I don't even think Pac-Man had been announced yet. And there it is. Q*bert in the background. You remember that, Jason? When Final Fight was just announced? Yeah, so maybe they could come out with that. I think they had the license back then, so why not? So what would be cool, again, about this, going back to Narc, it's one of those titles where it's got a unique shape cabinet, and if Arcade1up is a type of company that maybe they're only here for a short period of time, I don't know if they can survive. There's a lot of companies that may not be able to survive this new whatever we're in. This big shift in a lot of different technology, media, gaming. But I would love to see some really great holy grail titles, bucket list titles come out from Arcade1up. If they could do it in low quantity to kind of just, give the customer what they want, fill up their game room with some very unique titles, I think that would be a win. I'm hoping that we see that. And maybe they can factor in figure out a formula where they can, make a certain amount of them. And maybe there's a couple titles out there where the cab shapes are similar enough where they could do a run of the same cabinet, but then, the two different titles are unique enough, and then just do a different artwork packages, different set of games. And maybe that could work. There could be a set of games that are 80s titles, same shape. They can kind of like leverage that and give us a special game. What about this one? This is what I was thinking of. A Gyrus. A really good Gyrus in my area, I think, would go for $1,000 to $1,500. A full size original. They're not that big of a cabinet, so that's cool. And they kind of have this little space where your hands go underneath, and I think that's really awesome. I've seen a few of them, but a lot of times they are not in the greatest shape. And so you can get them. I think the ones that went for like $800, but they really needed some work. Really bad artwork. Control panel was all torn up. And so getting a pristine one from Arcade1up, this would be a title that I can't imagine them screwing up, right? It's a joystick and buttons, and good marquee, and the shape of the cabinet is such that I think they could almost like match the size of this. Like in a Deluxe, imagine a Deluxe or an XL, maybe not XL, maybe just Deluxe. That could be really cool. And then it's vertical, and then Pitbull is saying Circus Charlie and Gyrus on the same cab would be really cool. He's looking at a Charlie now, actually. So that could be an 80s title that I think a lot of people would be happy with, and this is just a fun shooter as well. What about Track and Field? Track and Field is something that was leaked through like a retailer. Like a retailer was interested, maybe interested, but we've heard it was canceled. But this is there's a Track and Field. I made a post on my community page recently because there's an auction here in Des Moines this next Saturday, and Track and Field is going to be there. Someone put up a Track and Field, so I'm excited about that opportunity for that cabinet. I don't know if I'd get it, but it kind of just depends on what the price would be. Like, there's a certain price for everything, right? Like, if for some reason that Track and Field is, I don't know, $200, a real Track and Field end up going for that price, like, you almost have to do it, right, at that low price. While I'm on that topic, we can kind of take a look real quick of what, hold on a second. Yeah, so that auction is going to be coming Saturday in Des Moines at the Valley West Mall. This is the first set of pictures that they have at Valley West Mall. Notice the number of 80s titles. So basically, everything in the center is 80s. You got Joust, you got Frogger, you got Track and Field, and you got Donkey Kong. And on the left and right, you got a Street Fighter and a Mortal Kombat 2. I'm not really sure of the exact quality of each of these machines. Cosmetically, they look pretty decent. So I'm pretty excited about this auction because we don't usually get this number of pretty AAA titles there. Yeah, so I'll be covering that probably next Sunday, talking about how much these ended up going for. So remember in your head, next Sunday, we're going to talk about the auction, and definitely curious about that Donkey Kong, how much it'll end up going for. Let's see. He's got some other pictures here. So he's got this Konami. I wonder how much that'll go for. I've seen those so many times at like conventions. There's a little, I don't even know what this is. It's just a weird big buck artwork on a 2-player countercade looking thing. It's probably Pandora's box. Everything else doesn't look that great. They got a pinball machine there. Yeah, so far we got some big titles there, but I got a lot of machines that I'm thinking about bringing. I actually had considered bringing my Play Choice in. I thought I would never sell that, but man, I was recently I was thinking about all the various of arcade machines that I would want down in here, and there's a scenario where I was basically saying like what game would I rather have instead of a Play Choice? And that thought process that I went down started making me think, like, would I be willing to give it up? Man, these lights are hot. My face is all red right now. Sorry. Maybe it's the alcohol. I don't know. And I would love to get a Mario Versus and a Duck Hunt. It's something that Arcade1up will probably never come out with. It's an 80s title. I could take the Play Choice that I have and add a gun to it. But man, I really like the Versus. And then I started thinking about some of the other full-size arcades that I have where it's like, well, what if I just got the Street Fighter with a Mister? And then I started down the process of basically a multi-cade with really high-quality parts on it. And I started going down there. It's like, oh, I can eliminate this machine and that machine, and just really focus on machines that are very, very unique control schemes that are very difficult to play on a multicade. So once you go down that process, I was thinking the same thing. Again, it's the same value that I'm talking about in the Arcade1up. Like the 80s games where either the game itself is so iconic that I would love to be able to just own that physical machine, whether it's an Arcade1up XL or a full-size arcade, or it has unique controls. That's where the Robotron would be, not Robotron, I'm sorry, Road Blasters. A few people have mentioned that. Road Blasters from an Arcade1up would be fantastic. Another one we talked a little bit before, I think Sinistar. It's a fantastic game. It's also one that I could see them doing the artwork and the shape really, really well on. It would force them down. I think if it was Sinistar was their primary title, I would really hope they go vertical on it. That could limit the number of games on it. They have proven they can do that horizontal with a bezel. And the game is pretty good, even with the wrong aspect ratio. I'm sorry, the wrong orientation. I think it plays really well on the Partycade, on the Defender Partycade. Playing it with a 49-way stick is a lot better. But I also think playing the Sega Genesis is better than the Defender Partycade. Like the Sega Genesis version of Sinistar, it's on their greatest hits. They modified it. And it's the same people that did the Partycade, the Williams Partycade, the Defender Partycade. They're the ones that did the Sega back in the 90s, the Williams greatest hits. But they modified Sinistar to work well with with a D-pad. And so when you play, go try it. Go try and play a Sinistar with a normal Sega Genesis. The game, if you find the ROM or whatever, the game is just like, I can't remember, Williams Greatest Hits or something like that. It plays really, really well. So I played that on the Arcade1up. What is it? The Arcade1up. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. What is it called? The Intech gaming control panel with the Sega Genesis cart. I played it on that, and it plays surprisingly well. Yeah, he says, I had no idea the Sinistar was ever on the Genesis game. Gotta have to buy that. Yeah, man. I picked that up, the real cartridge, for that, like $12, I think. It's pretty cheap, and it's a really good port. Like, keep in mind, it's the same guys that have been doing it for like 30 years. The same, basically, I think it's the same developer, is what I've heard. That in the 90s, he did the arcade ports to consoles for the Williams titles. Yeah, it's Midway's greatest hits. That's right. Midway's greatest hits. That guy is he's the developer that created the emulator that's on all of these Arcade1up machines. It's like the same few developers. They've been just doing it for years. I play Sinistar on the Mortal Kombat 2 head-to-head and the Defender Partycade all the time. Yeah, it's a very fun game. So this is one I was talking about where I'd go either way. If Arcade1up came out with a Deluxe Sinistar, I'd probably buy it. If they did a XL Sinistar, I'd probably buy it. I have a Neo... It's basically a Neo Geo cabinet. It's got an MVS in it, but it's really a Williams cabinet. So it was Williams, then converted. I got it for $200. It just needs cosmetic issues, or it has cosmetic issues. I can fix that. The monitor's pretty good, but I've been thinking about turning it into a Sinistar because I think I could do it for, it's about $400 for the artwork. I already got the J-Rock, rotate the screen, and then just the labor. I'd probably be in $4, $7, $8, $9, $1,200 with shipping and everything, little padding for all of that stuff. So that's the price for me to build a Sinistar, plus the labor. But I've seen them on various marketplaces for $2,000. Again, yeah, that's right. I got the J-Rock for $250 when it was out, and it's still in stock. Yeah, I got it like 6 months ago. So yeah, $250 plus the machine. It did cost me $200 to get it shipped, so it's not really a $200 cabinet. It's a $400 cabinet. Add another $300 to $400. Let me say $400 with shipping for the artwork. Now we're at $700. Then $250, $950. We're at $950 with the J-Rock. About $1,000. Anyway, and then at that point, I think that'd be fun. I'm afraid that I'd get the bezel and edges. I think the prices, I'm not even including. I'm at the T-molding, but yeah, man, I think it's the alcohol. Appreciate you asking. Like, yeah, my face is turning red. It's hot. I think it's the alcohol and the bright lights. Like, let me turn my lights off and you guys will understand like how bright these are. Hi. And then I'll turn on this bright light. Bam. Turn on the other one. Bam. Yeah. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. There we go. A little moodier. Little moodier. Anyway. Yeah. Booze will do that, and high blood pressure too. Maybe I got high blood pressure and booze. All right, let's go to the next one. What do I got? Is that it? That's it. My slides are done. All right, 48 minutes into the stream. Love to hear what you guys think about that. Let's chat. Let's do this. Let's do it like I've never done before. Let's make this the best possible stream I have ever done, where I read and read and read and read your comments and just keep reading and just keep reading. The last 12 minutes of the show is going to be rapid fire topics. Let's do it. No, it's Williams, not Midway. Robotron has two versions of that cab, and then Defender is different than Stargate. He's screaming at the top of his lungs. He forgot to say LOL, and he forgot to put 10 exclamation points. He's screaming, making sure everyone knows this. Biggie D says, yes, the lights are necessary evil for content creators. It makes their faces turn red. How do you beat the Sinistar boss? Okay, so the Sinistar... Oh, I got to stop and talk? Yeah, okay. So the Sinistar boss... what you want to do is just go collect as many Cinnabons as you want. It's like, imagine Saturday morning and you really want some donuts, so you go to Krispy Kreme and you get as many Cinnabons as possible. That is the trick for Sinistar. You want to go and you got to hit the rock, and then you got to chase it, but don't chase for too long, because if you can't get it just right, you just move on to a better one. You want to collect as many Cinnabons as you possibly can. If you're filled with all that sugar from the Cinnabons and you have like about 15 of them, then when the Sinistar gets built, he'll start chasing you. Then you got to watch really close as he's following after you. And then you run away from him. And as he's running away from him, you make sure that there's a good distance between you, but enough where you can just start firing those bombs. And you bam, bam, bam. And you better make sure that every single bomb, every single Cinnabon that you're shooting can hit him and nothing is in your way. Bam, 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 and you will destroy him, and it will flash like crazy, and you'll make it to the next level, and it will excite you so much, and you will say it's the best game ever made. And that's how you beat the Sinistar boss. Okay, just drink more. Eventually, it'll all be red, right? It'll all be red. Anyone have a real Dragon's Lair arcade? Impossible to find. Now, at the last auction, they did have the shell of one, but they didn't have the guts of it. They, like, made it, I don't know, it was like a cab that you could just, like, you know, do work on. I don't even know if it had did it have a game in it? I can't remember. Give me the kangaroo cab. And Pitbull with all those exclamation points. Finally. Is that better? Absolutely, buddy. I would love track and field. But I think Arcade1up version would fall apart with all the button mashing. Imagine that. You're playing track and field. You're like my wife who's like getting the spoons out for the real track and field for the NES, because that's the real version. That's the epic definition of being able to play track and field, not this arcade version. You want the pads. Remember the pad from the NES? You use the spoons to cheat. You're going to use those spoons on an Arcade1up. It's going to fall apart. And what we've proven tonight is 80s cabs can save Arcade1up. That's right. Stargate, do you know this? Stargate is much better than Defender. It is a better game. We got some Jungle King cab, Cinnabons, Pole Position, Gauntlet, Spy Hunter, and Tapper would all be must-buys for me. Bob Cade knows what it's like. You really want Duck Donuts. Duck Donut is the best, evidently. They don't sell Cinnabons or Krispy Kreme when they're hot. What up, Home Arcade Wednesday night? That's right, Home Arcade Wednesday night. Right now, we're doing some Mandalorian on Wednesday night. I am. I think some other content creators are doing some content on Wednesday night. We got some, that's right, some Arcade Anonymous on Wednesday night. Is that right? They got some good stuff over there. Let's see, Duck Donuts Bacon, run. Whatever happened to the AtGames racing cab? Is it dead? I heard it's dead. If you're not doing a cab, please let us purchase Gore for download. There you go. Why not? Jungle King, Elevator Action, Bubbles, boom, make that cab. I got lost with the less than sign. Need a title cab with Bubble Bobble or Bubble Bobble, Rastan, Bust a Move, Darius, Elevator Action, Ninja Warrior, and Sonic Blast Man. Just give it to us, please. That would be an excellent 80s cab. Justin loved Gorf. I love Gorf. And knows it's 1UP's only hope. I'm a number one guy. Justin. Hey, how's it going? What is it? Centino? What is the best 80s video game documentary? Star Wars is the best video game documentary. I don't think you want to own a real Dragon's Lair. That's right. The Power Pad. We're into that conversation now. Gorf got its name from the designer's dog. Is that right? His dog's name was Gorf? That would be awesome to name your dog after a video game. Announce Time Crisis already. My money is ready. I think it's going to be a while. I've changed my mind on when Time Crisis is coming out because we saw that leak last year, but there hasn't been anything. Did you think about this? I don't know if I fully covered this, but the manual leak for the Deluxe cabinets, which Time Crisis is a Deluxe, showed Fast and the Furious. There was no Time Crisis. Maybe they punted. Maybe Fast and the Furious took Time Crisis slot. Now Time Crisis is later. Maybe they got to redesign it. Using spoons aren't cheating. Joysticks with turbo mode is cheating. Thor knows what's going on. See if I can catch up. Can I catch up? Can I catch up? Well, let's find out. You guys need to try our Costco bakery Cinnabuns. Really? Cinnamon buns from Costco? Donuts. Episode 4 was great. Hard to keep running. It is. It would still last longer using spins than forks, though. Ooh, forks on the Nintendo pad? That's not a good idea. I've never tried it. I bet someone who did just lost it all. I played Kangaroo at TPF this weekend. That's awesome. Love the backstory of Baby Yoda. Ooh, are we going to get more backstory of Baby Yoda this Wednesday? We're on Fox's channel this Wednesday, so go check us out on Fox, 19K Fox. Michael B has just started a stream. You should join him and continue this together. What? Galaga 40th anniversary partycade had Galaga, Galaga 88, Plus, Galaxian, King of Balloons, Xevious, Dragon Spirit, Basconian, Montos, and Grabda. Make it a normal cab, vertical shooter, please. I know the Galaga partycade, right? That was a pretty good one. Is that right? I remember the countercade was pretty dope. Now we get the 40th anniversary partycade. I can't catch up with you guys. Moonwalker. That'll never happen, but that would be cool. All of these wish list cabs are great, but what do you honestly think? They can sell 10,000 units at full $499 retail? No, don't think so. I think these are going to have to be $499 direct to consumer. They only make 3,000. And they'll probably just pick whichever one they actually think they can get 3,000 sold. I don't know. Ask Unico about the Taito cab right after Data East. Those are perfect licenses for that company to go after. Why not? Got a dog named ND. You ever watch Halt? Oh, that's right. Halt and Catch Fire. That was pretty good. They had Gorf too. Where is the iArcade virtual pinball? I know like every other company has come out with a virtual pinball, but where's iArcade? His dog name was Frog. Gorf backwards. Is that what it is? It's just Frog backwards. So basically Gorf is Frogger. Is that what's going on? Gorf is basically just Frogger. Wow. Now I'm like, can I do all of this? And let's get this music going back in. I don't have any music. What happened to my music? I lost music. All right. There's no way I can keep up with this. Wait, I'm almost to the end. If I can get to the end, I'm going to show you guys some cool pictures. Let's see. High Score. There you go. High Score on Netflix. Excellent documentary. Now he is happy. He was on the stream. I did with you the end. Yes. Give me a war-themed cabinet. That'd be pretty good, actually. Is it just me or is Justin buffering? I think it's just you. Wait, actually, let me go into no, I think it seems to be okay. It's the alcohol. Kangaroo was one of my favorite games on the 2600. What was the last time you played a video game in the grocery store not named Walmart? Wow. That's a long time. Where's Moon Patrol? I think, doesn't the iArcade have that? Next Namco Deluxe, please a Galaxian cab. I think we said that to Cyrus. We said that to Cyrus at CES. Revolution X sister cab to T2. Maybe. Moon Patrol, yes. They need a crown fund. Money talks, BS walks. There we go. Chapstick lids on the fingertips, crushes on NES track and trail. Track and field. Chapstick lids on your fingertips? I never did that. That's pretty good. Give me a stand-up battle zone with a viewfinder to look through it. Ooh, yeah. They should also join forces with indie company, make cool retro game. I would love that. No, you would love to have a what was the game in the arcades that had a sniper scope you look through? Yeah, see if anyone knows that. Vampire Survivor Cab. I can't keep up. POW, Akira Warriors, 50 cal. Arcade1up should make a Spy Hunter full-size cab. Oh, this is Santino. It's not Pitbull. It's his son. Wow. And his son just LOLs just like him. Let's see. Elevator Action and Zookeeper. Paperboy, Zaxxon, Double Dragon, Battle 1, Hang On, Afterburner, all some more of my favorite I'd consider. Silent Scope, Battlezone, My Kid is a Dork. I think it's the Dork. And it's Silent Scope. Silent Scope. iArcade should make another screensaver. Silent Scope. I caught up. That means I can show you pictures. Here we go. All right, so keep chatting and I'll show that in just a second. So this was, what is this? This is a video. This was me going around. How do I go full screen? This is showing off the how it can hold this this multi-Williams cabinet. And yeah, Stringer Films was there with me. He flew out and he was helping me with this. And then this was good. I moved my pinball machines in the arcade. I'm going to get those downstairs soon. Then I got the Star Wars trilogy. That is 19K Fox. Yeah, I'm going to give it to him. That's right. Mark my words. 19K Fox is going to come to my house. And that Star Wars trilogy, I'm gifting to him for free. Just because of all the fun times we've had. And I know he really wants a Star Wars trilogy. And this one needs a little work. And I promised him, I said, if you want it, come and get it. And it's yours. It's yours. This was me realizing that going over grass is not that hard. It's not that hard. And so this was the key thing in understanding how to get some cabs into my basement. With that dolly, the thing is super light. You almost no energy required to take this Williams machine and tip it back to be on this dolly. Like, a weak person could do this. Like, I used no muscle for this, and then I was able to push it over the grass. I think this is a video. This is a video kind of showing, maybe you can kind of see it's kind of bumpy in there where the water goes through. This is the neighbor's yard, and I didn't knock on his door. My wife is kind of upset. She's like, you didn't tell your neighbor? So you can kind of see it's not too bad. I've been overhyping like how difficult it would be to get arcades over this grass. It's not a big deal at all. Like, I was too afraid that the arcade would like fall over because of this little kind of trench right there. You see that bumpy? It is got some difficulty to it, right? It's not like, easy, but it's not hard either. And so I think the next scene is boom, I'm in my basement. And there it is. I got it set up. Multi-Williams right next to Godzilla, right next to Jurassic Park. And all three of those machines, very heavy machines. Didn't ask for a friend to come over. Didn't hire movers. It warmed up to about 50 degrees. And I was able to do it all by myself. All by myself. All by myself. So yeah, some exciting times for me. It means a lot to me to be able to do that because that means, and I don't think it'd be that hard to get them out. So if I change my mind on exactly which ones I want to go into the basement, it wouldn't be too hard. And I just realized I've received a couple super chats, and I'm sorry, the software that I'm using is custom. And so I realize I don't think I have support for super chats on this software that I put together. So I'm going to try to go back and grab those. I'll kind of show you what I'm doing here if it'll let me. No, it's not letting. There we go. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's interested in this, but let me say hi in the chat. There we go. So it's kind of weird. So this is the software that I put together. I call it Vivo, which means live. It's just means live. So if anyone who chats, go ahead and say something. It'll automatically show up in this list. And then watch, if I check it, boom, it shows up on the screen. And so as things come in, this is what I'm looking at. And it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to pay And for those that are creators in the chat, this is eventually I want to make this available to anyone. Like, so a lot of people pay $500 a year for StreamYard or Restream. I think Restream's even more expensive. And one of the main features is this chat feature. Now, there is another chat tool that's out there that allows you to integrate with OBS, and I've contributed to that software as well. It's open source. But this one, I changed it. Yeah, I think I made it where you can, like, it has all these features, like these are all the unread. And so notice how as I click it, it should disappear because it's showing I've already showed it on the screen. So it has all these little features that I added. So unread's there. And then if I want to only show donations, then I'd hit the donations. And keep in mind, I'm building it so like other streamers could use it as well. And so then there's this feature where you can star things. So if there's like a really good comment that you see and you want to like show it later, you can star it. And then they show up only in this list over here. So although this chat has like, more chat messages, this is only the ones that are starred. And then if I show it, then, I can show it and then unmark it. But I don't think and then I also made it where, what else did I do? So if I hit this button, which I'm on another screen, and then go like that, then every chat message that comes up will just show on the right-hand side and it animates in. Again, I'm not paying anything for this, so you don't have to pay $500 a year for this feature. And I will give this away eventually for free. The next step is to make it peer-to-peer technology. So there's no server. It's literally just like a window of YouTube that's using peer-to-peer messaging, like the same type of peer-to-peer technology that is used for the Arcade1up cabinets. Imagine instead of it being a joystick or button command being sent to another user, it's your chat message is basically sent to a different browser, which is then being overlaid and displayed. I don't know if anyone's interested in this, but I thought I would just share it. It's my excuse of why I've missed Super Chats, because evidently I don't have support. There, I was able to do it. It's because I'm actually in YouTube, and my tool is integrated into YouTube as a Chrome plugin. And when I click it, it grabs the message and it sends it to, right now it's using Socket.io. It's using a WebSocket. So it's sending it up to my server and back down. Soon it'll be peer-to-peer. Anyway, so this technology works. I didn't think of it this way. So Stringer Films with a super chat is pushing grass over grass code for I'm high. Ha ha. Let's see. Was another Ezekiel, the Chicago Retro Ranger, says, "Hey, what's up, Justin? Robotron could save Arcade1up. Do you think so? Is it possible? Is it possible that it could be our savior, our Arcade1up savior?" Stringer Films, good thing someone pressured you into buying the J. That's right. Did you pressure me into getting the J-Rock? Maybe. Although, remember yesterday I was super mad at you. I was super mad at Stringer Films because he didn't pressure me in buying a paying $50 more for a better dolly. It's like buying a $100 dolly versus a $150 dolly made a huge difference. And I'm mad at Stringer Films because he never said, dude, spend $50 more and save your back. Instead, he watched this podcast for me years complaining about how, I'm afraid of going across grass. And he could have simply said, dude, why don't you just get a better dolly? That's all you, Stringer Film. That's your fault. I blame you. I don't like you anymore. You're not my friend. I'm going to end the stream now. I'm that mad at Stringer Films. You guys think I'm joking. I'm not. Okay, I am. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for hanging out. See, I got to get that where when I change this, it'll automatically take the chat off. I'll get there. But that dolly is crap. Get a Coke machine dolly. Okay, let's go look at one right now. Send me a link, Stringer Film. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. A Coke machine dolly. Let's see what dolly he's saying. And you guys got to check this out because here, if you get a good dolly, the good dolly is going to be good for XL and Pros Arcade1up as well. I will show you one that I've been thinking about, but see, all of these are more expensive. Do you see? A Coke machine dolly? These are too much, right? Look. $889 for this one. $979, $1,000. No. These Coke machine dollies, they're really expensive. I'll try to show you the one I did have my eye on. It was, where is it? Nope. I can't find it. It's something like this. There was some for like $500 or $600 in this kind of area, this kind of price range. That's kind of like the next level. Here's like a 800-pound Coke machine. Boom. Something like this. Anyway, the dolly's crap. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Go check out, I guess, B is going live later. 19K Fox, I guess, Michael B. Check your messages. What? Now all my chat just jumped. Check your messages. All right. I'm checking my messages. Let's see what you have to say. Give me a second. Yes, the Northern Tool. This is exactly. Remember I messaged you yesterday? I was like, you want me to get the yellow one, don't you? Yes, $249. This is exactly the one. 100%. I did a lot of research. Let me show it. This is 100% the one that I was thinking about getting. And the one I got was Harbor Freight $149. They had it on a discount. And $249. And for the height and the capacity, $249 on this guy, the 66 inches high. So think about that in height relative to like an Arcade1up, like an XL, like a Big Blue. Think of the height of a Big Blue. So this dolly, even though you could get, taller machines on it, that's where your handles are. And then it's got the 4 wheels. But see, the only thing, it's got wheels like that. And I'm not really sure if these thinner wheels are good on grass, though. Just don't put more than 100. You mean 100 pounds, right? Don't put more than $100. Oh, no, you do mean just don't put more than $100 cab on the $149 dolly. What he's saying is the dolly that I got couldn't bend. Like it says it has a higher capacity, but it actually doesn't. That's what he's saying. In his experience, it's like it'll bend. Anyway, thank you so much. 80s cab can save Arcade1up, and so could you. But we got to tell him that's what we want. That yellow is steel. It's a steel, and it's steel. But we got to tell them that's what we want. I don't think they even know that could save them. But they're going to continue to come out with these 90s cabs. And I don't know. Fast and the Furious is a really interesting title. Maybe it could work. But I think I'd rather see some of the titles that we talked about tonight. I think that would be pretty interesting. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. I'll be on 19K Fox channel on Wednesday to cover Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5. talk about that episode. And then next Sunday, right here, same time, Console Kits, for another podcast, for another topic. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.